What's up, guys? Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show. It's Thursday, June 17th, and I did a quick scour, and when I mean quick, I mean a few hour scour all over the internet of what to talk about today. They're talking about the Supreme Court being passed, but I thought there was an overall arching theme being reported by a lot of liberal outlets, mainstream outlets, and stuff like that. It was the overall emphasis, the feeling that happened of Joe Biden representing America in another country and on stage for all of us to see as he takes on Putin and does an incredible job and saves us all. There's just a constant kiss up to Biden that's just gross to see. And that's my main message today, is that the media continues to show how it's broken. And it's getting worse and worse by the day as they just cover up for him constantly. Even the times that they ask him hard questions and then he responds harshly, they don't even critique that. They don't even know what to do in that circumstance. They're dumbfounded by that even thought of, do we have to report badly about this guy? Because even he is being rude to our CNN reporters, as we'll go through some clips that are shown earlier. But as always, I always go through a quick deep dive of what's going on in the world. And here's what a top story is. They are still talking about the freaking Capitol riot. They're not done with this, people. I talked about this the last 2 days. You thought I was joking. You thought I was like being over the top, or maybe you're like, I'm tired of talking about this story because there's nothing to talk about anymore. It's over. Tucker Carlson does a little breaking thing, as always, and he talks about how the FBI might have been a part of it based on that Revolver article. You should check out that Revolver article. It's very interesting. Revolver article. That's it's a little speech impediment moment. You should check out that article. It's very interesting, very deep dive, and raises some questions, some obvious questions that make you wonder what the actual heck happened. But as always, the media is still reporting on the same nonsense. They're still, as the MSNBC's top, the FBI says the Capitol riot was terrorism. Democrats and Republicans, and in parentheses, Republicans, should too. They're not done with Capitol riots, but here's my main theme and story of this week is that Joe Biden didn't do as well as they hoped, but they're making up for it as best as they possibly can. As there's a new leaked footage of Macron wagging his finger to Biden in his face. You can talk about body language. You could talk, maybe he's joking. We don't know the actual context of what's going on, but there was this reverberating theme that you kept hearing over and over again is this, that America is back. Why would other countries get excited about America being back? Is it because America's back because our stern leadership, who people fear around the world, of our might and our strength? Or is it because the old establishment is back that we can bend over the fence and take advantage of? We can, extract money from them. We can make them do whatever we want because Joe Biden doesn't have a backbone. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because I believe that they're excited about America's back. It's just like a little child. He wants an Xbox, and he keeps crying about it, and then he gets a new parent that just gives him whatever he wants. And they're like, finally, a mom that I can agree with. Finally, a parent that I'm okay with. And that's how I feel what's going on in the world. I feel like Joe Biden and that administration is easily pushed over and constantly pushed over because the guy is obviously losing it. The media is having, I did a little funny, maybe not funny to you, I don't know, a quick video I put on my YouTube page. Speaking of YouTube, I am in YouTube jail right now for 7 days because I said that transgender athletes shouldn't be allowed to play in a girls' high school sports. That is seen as bullying. I am not even saying that, I'm saying it's up to debate. I feel like high school girls should have a say in that, maybe. And then I talked about for a long time about how transgender is men who transition to females in MMA beating the crap out of women and how I think that's not okay. That is seen as cyberbullying. And so they took away my account, and I submitted an appeal, which I assume won't. They'll just hold it up. And so if I get another strike again, I'm off YouTube for 2 weeks after that. And then after that, I'm done with YouTube forever. So make sure you follow me on BitChute and Rumble. Those are the only 2 free platforms out there that allow whatever speech you want. I'm not inciting violence. That's not, I'm not saying go find somebody and beat them. I'm not saying this stuff. I'm just saying we should have a conversation about transgender females in kids sports. I see that as a problem. I see that as not okay. You got somebody who's been on testosterone their whole life and then now is transitioning away from it through, medical pushed medications, and they're going to have an unfair advantage, and you're going to have females' records continue to be broken by transgender athletes. You just will see it, and I see that as unfair. But that's not seen as unfair. But a woman that is going for the Olympics that had some steroids in a quote unquote burrito, that's unfair. Okay. Oh, whatever. Anyways, Macron pointing his finger at Joe Biden. I don't want to make too much of this part of the story because I just don't care. But I just don't see him as a very powerful, strong leader. When you want leadership, you want unpredictable leadership. You want a leadership in there that makes countries nervous to talk to you, makes countries nervous to ask for stuff because you're in a powerful position, whereas Joe Biden is easily pushed over because he struggles putting words together. And that's just a fact. And I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to mock him. I think it's borderline. It's really kind of sad watching him continually lose his mind and go through phases of anger and sadness and happiness, and he's getting his choco chip. But when he's asked an actual question, he loses his mind and says, "You guys only ask negative stuff. When is the positive stuff?" Because he's not used to being asked questions because he was locked in his basement as they continuously put a media cap on him during his campaign. So let's just look at a couple of clips from yesterday that being discussed, and then we'll talk about what the liberal media is reporting on based on these clips, which is honestly laughable. But again, I'm trying to change my channel to be more about a critique on CNN, MSNBC, and what they get wrong, because I want to engage in conversation with liberals, and it's important to know what they're thinking. Because if you come out with all this other stuff, they're not going to understand because they're only getting reported a certain amount of information, which is incredibly sad and frustrating because you can see all summer long destruction as the same channels say it's a summer of love. All right, let's look at some of these videos. Here's Joe Biden snapping at a CNN reporter, which is borderline hilarious in itself because, CNN obviously has his back and will do whatever they want to make him look good. But here we go.
I'm confident he'll change his behavior, Mr. President.
Yeah, I'm not confident in changing behavior. What do you do all the time?
So
when did I say I was confident?
You said in the next 6 months you'll be able to determine.
What I said. Yeah. Let's get it straight.
What the hell? Wow.
What will change their behavior is if the rest of the world reacts to them, it diminishes their standing in the world. I'm not confident of anything. I'm just stating the fact.
But given his past behavior has not changed, and in that press conference after sitting down with you for several hours, he denied any involvement in cyber attacks. He downplayed human rights abuses. He even refused to say Alexei Navalny's name. So how does that account to a constructive meeting as president?
Putin not only downplayed a lot of, the hacking and stuff like that, he said that he made a very powerful move saying that actual hacking actually stems majority of the time out of United States. And Joe Biden didn't respond to that.
If you don't understand that, you're in the wrong business.
It's a summit with China next.
If you don't understand that, you're in the wrong business. She's like, but I work for CNN. Remember me? And then Joe Biden does another thing before he gets on the tarmac, before he apologizes.
What concrete evidence do you have from these 3+ hours that suggests that any movement has been made? And I don't mean that.
No. I know, but you're all. Look, to be a good reporter, you got to be negative. You got to have a negative view of life. Okay, it seems to me the way you never ask a positive question. Why, in fact, having agreement? We'll find out.
You gotta be to be a reporter. You gotta have a negative view on life. Is he wrong? I'm not. I'm not totally disagreeing with that comment, but and now he comes back to apologize, and so this is his apology.
I owe my last question an apology. I shouldn't have been such a wise guy with the last answer I gave. Anyway, thanks for being here, and most of you have been here the whole route. I really do think.
It's funny, you see the reporter smiling. They're like, thank you for apologizing. We didn't want to write a bad article.
Not me, but I think we, the country, has put a different face on where we've been and where we're going. And I feel good about it. I feel, one of the things that I think understandably there was a good deal of skepticism about would the G7 sign on and give America back its sort of leadership role. I think it did. It wasn't me, but they're glad America's back. They're glad America's back.
There's a whole different demeanor in this apology.
And then when we went to NATO, I think it was the same thing. We had really good meetings there and real response, as well as the EU. I didn't get one single person, not one of the world leaders, said doing anything other than thank me for arranging a meeting with Putin. And I
His
thought,
words are going.
quite frankly, I was in a much better position to represent the West after the previous 3 meetings with Putin, that knowing that the rest of the West was behind us. And so I think, so I owe them all a debt of gratitude.
Okay, so that's his apology. So Biden essentially attacked a reporter with his words. Look, I could care less. But we saw all through the Trump administration, any kind of thing that, even a hint of what Joe Biden just did, they would lose their minds and say he's unhinged, aggressive, a dictator, wants to ban reporters, wants to get rid of the press, and hates them. And they would just do countless stories all freaking day. And it's so exhausting just reading the bullcrap as you actually read, as they just continuously took him out of context all 4 years long, because they wanted to create this narrative of insanity and a threat to democracy and all this other crap. But Joe Biden comes out and says, like, he says those things and the media doesn't care. Because what do I wake up to this morning? MSNBC. What Joe Biden's snap at CNN reporter in Geneva really revealed. In his answers and apology, he differentiated himself from Trump and Putin. Is this journalism or is this propaganda? As I just continue to report on how the media, I think they're just so liable for a lot of what they've been reporting on all year long last year during COVID-19, not talking about Wuhan lab, not talking about, they downplayed vaccines for a long time. Now they're upplaying it, and now because they were downplayed it under Trump because they didn't trust Trump, and now that Trump delivered all those vaccines, they're taking credit for Joe Biden, and now they're upplaying them, making them like they're the magical thing, and there's nothing wrong with them, and no matter how much you take, you're totally fine, and it's a miracle, marvel, and all that stuff. But they're just continuously trying to make him look good, and it's just frustrating to see. But this is what, for those who are conservative, libertarian like myself, maybe with just a little sprinkles of liberalness in there because you're open to ideas. I'm not totally closed-minded. You're just a logical thinking person, and then you see this out here, and you're like, I watched Joe Biden slowly lose his mind, call Putin Trump a time in the press conference. I saw his words just slowly diminish as he talked to other people. You see an elderly man continuing to lose it. But here's MSNBC. President Joe Biden had a moment at the end of his news conference Tuesday. His snap at CNN reporter, they just hate writing this. His snap at a CNN reporter drew immediate comparisons on Twitter to former President Donald Trump. Now, here's what conservatives are doing. Oh, wow. Is the media going to actually report about how bad that was? No, they won't. Instead, they're going to do what's so different about this? About President Trump's frequent... it's just disgusting what they write. about how Trump was just so negative towards the press. It's not entirely fair, of course, but it was a glimpse of the side of Biden that appears to only in flashes. Only in flashes, occasionally. Trump was like every 5 seconds. One that goes against the admirable demeanor he is cultivated before the American public. Yes. Joe Biden saying the N-word, talking about how if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, and talking about corn pop and children rubbing his legs and sitting on his leg. Yeah, no. He has an admirable demeanor he's cultivated before the American public. He's loved by all. As he, is friends with the KKK people and stuff like that. He's a great guy. I've never been to a famous person. I've never been a politician or an actor or anyone. This is their top story, okay? This is their number one story on the website. I'm not joking when I say this. This is what they're pushing. It's all a ploy. I've never been a politician or actor or anyone who else's life is held under a microscope daily. I am, like the vast majority of people, the observer on the other side. Sure. But unlike a lot of people, I spent all day with my eye on the lens watching for faint changes in behavior, scrutinizing what it could mean. And he quotes himself. I've never been a politician or an actor. God, it's so annoying. It seems like it would be a terrible thing to have the light shining on you all the time. This is just they're just softening up what he actually said. And they're just slowly making you feel sorry for him. There was nothing objectable about the questions from CNN's Caitlin Collins as Biden made his way from the podium. Why are you so confident he'll change his behavior, Mr. President? I'm confident I'm going to change his behavior. What the hell? What do you do all the time? What did I say was confident? Biden was clearly agitated as he made his way back to the microphone. But this is what they're doing. They're all... I was looking on CNN, I was looking at Daily Beast, I was looking at MSNBC, CNBC, all the kind of ABC News, NBC News. I was looking at all of them, and none of them were talking about his blast at reporters. Instead, they were talking about how great of a job he did and how America's back and how refreshing it is to have a president that isn't tweeting and, countries aren't nervous to talk to, how refreshing it is to have a president that speaks for us all and has a good demeanor against President Putin, how firm he was and stiff he was towards Putin. It's gross. As we have Project Veritas breaking a story on the TV reporter Ivory Hecker goes public. For Fox 26 reporter Ivory Hecker was suspended today after announcing live on air that she decided to come to Project Veritas, what she describes as pure corruption at the Houston affiliate. She said the station's actions are a front for real journalism and claimed leadership priorities prioritize corporate interests over the viewer. And that is what my plea is, that the corporate priorities will always go before the interests of the viewer. That's why you have to support people like myself, people like our other independent news journalist people, because no one's telling me what to say. I'm saying what I want to say. And that's why YouTube has banned me for 7 days for saying what I want to say, because I believe something that goes against the corporate interests of YouTube. Journalism is dead. A real journalist would be critiquing what Biden said, and not only that, they would be talking about why did he have so many gaffes over this time, and he seemed kind of tired. Also, maybe how strong Putin looked in his post-press conference in comparison to Biden, as Biden had a list of reporters to go through. Not only said that, he said the quiet part out loud of saying, as usual, they have a list for me to call on. I'm sure there was talking points for him to say and the questions that were already put out before. Journalism is dead. And I hate that, because I enjoy journalism. I love journalism. I love learning the new scoops. I love learning information that maybe even makes my party look bad. I could care less. I just want the facts out there. And I think that's what we need to continue to push for. And I just want to encourage you to find independent news media people you just enjoy, you like, and actually, give them your money instead of giving your time and money to other places that only just promote this kind of crap. That even this woman that works with Fox Corp or whatever, is being censored. She wasn't allowed to run stories about Bitcoin, and a lot of other things. I saw her. Oh, and she wasn't allowed to run a story when she was interviewing a doctor that works with COVID-19 patients. That's such a sticky issue. It's such a heavily politicized issue when it shouldn't be. This whole idea of science. When you actually talk to scientists, if those scientists go against the narrative that's pushed by the experts, the 22-year-old social media new grad that works at YouTube, they are the ones in charge of science, not the actual doctors who are taking care of these people. For many of you that don't know, I have a lot of family members in the medical field. I have talked about things like ivermectin and other things that people are using to treat COVID-19 patients. You're not allowed to even talk about these things because you're not allowed to say positive things besides taking the vaccine. That's the only positive note you're allowed to say for COVID-19. It's exhausting to even talk about. It's not about science. It's about a political agenda and a political party pressing their power on the little people like yourself. As the top stories today on CNN and MSNBC are making Biden look good, even though he yelled at a CNN reporter who's most likely his bestie and has only said positive things about him, as they're trying to change the narrative of what actually happened, and they're still talking about January 6th. Even on CNN, their top story, there was the Supreme Court ruling, but mainly next to it, as they continue to push the January 6th probe, as the top story on CNN next to the Supreme Court was a Capitol policeman reached out his hand at a GOP senator to shake his hand, and the GOP senator didn't shake it. And that is a top story. They're not media. They are media. They're not journalists. They're activists. They're just pure activism, and they have corporate interests, and they're just telling the corporate interests, tell them what to say. Jeff, Zuckerberg, and all of them just tell them what to say, and then they just push that agenda. They don't care about actual information. They don't care about opinion. They don't care about diversity in thought. They just care about what you look like, and if you fit that profile, then you have to say what they have to say. Or they ban you. You're not an ally. You're not part of their cause. They are pushing this narrative that conservatives are breaking away from America. They're being authoritarianism and stuff like that. But if you pull back and you watch what's going on in the media, and you watch what's going on in just pure propaganda, nonsense being pushed down your throat, it's the liberal leftists that are pulling away from America, and they're trying to establish a new norm. And that's what's going on. As big tech continues to censor, they only censor conservative outlets, conservative platforms. Of course, I just put conservative libertarian in my bios and everything else, and now I'm starting to get strikes. Of course, I didn't want to put it out there because I didn't want for that to happen, because I think it's important to have a voice on these platforms as they just continue to, dismiss people's actual opinion and voices. If you're not paying attention to this and you don't think it's kind of freaky and scary, then you're not listening. Because I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. I'm not trying to be crazy or fringe. I'm just reading the news. I wake up in the morning every day and I read all outlets I can possibly find. I read all the liberal outlets and I read all the conservative outlets, and then I try to make sense of what's going on in the world. But I focus on the liberal outlets because it's clear to me that they're just spouting propaganda plainly. Yes, some conservative outlets do propaganda, but they at least mix it up with fact, and they say CNN will post a story on pure conjecture or pure rumor and post it as fact. I just saw Wall Street Journal do like a big story today about how Biden wants to talk about China, but the media and everyone else is pushing Putin and Russia on him. No. You guys have been pushing Russia for forever. You guys have made Russia this powerful, incredible entity that is destroying America day by day. But now as soon as Biden gets in office, you're like, yeah, they didn't hack the election. They just hacked the one before when Trump won. Trump is a secret spy for Russia. Like all this nonsense when it's actually Biden's son that worked with China, and worked with Ukraine, so it makes sense why he hates. So the media is broken, and the media is. You just have to always have the biased glasses on and knowing that what is propaganda and what is fact. Support people who actually speak out against this propaganda nonsense. Feel free to support myself. I have a Patreon. I have PayPal. I have Venmo. I would honestly greatly appreciate it. If not, it doesn't matter to me. Just your clicks, your comments below always help me out and pushes me to the top. But I will continue to be silenced, but I'll continue to talk, and I will find ways to post online because this isn't like my job. This is like a passion of mine. So let me know your thoughts below. Bring it home. Oh my
Summer
goodness.
Savings with our 4th of
And today in history, in 1885, the Statue of Liberty arrives in New York Harbor. The dismantled Statue of Liberty, a gift from friendship of the people of France to the people of America, arrives in New York Harbor after being shipped across the Atlantic Ocean in 350 individual pieces, packed into 200 crates. That's incredible. You thought putting together an IKEA drawer was bad. Where do you put together a Statue of Liberty? The copper and iron statue, which was resembled and dedicated the following year in a ceremonial president over U.S. Grover Cleveland, who everyone knows so much about, became known as the world as an enduring symbol of freedom and democracy. As we're pushing critical race theory, we're pushing more communist Marxist ideas. May we go back to the Statue of Liberty and remember what we are as Americans. That's my ploy, and that's what I'm going to continue to fight for. I hope you join me in the fight by speaking out against big tech and speaking out against critical race theory, speaking out against some of this media garbage nonsense. Thank you guys so much. I have an interview coming out soon. I'm going to be interviewing one of my listeners. She decided to take me up on the offer to be a part of the show. If you ever want to be a part of the show, you can email me at thederekosheshow@gmail.com. We'll see how long that lasts. Or you can DM me on any social media platform. Thank you guys so much. Be sure to go to YouTube and just hit the subscribe button. Drive them nuts. You don't even have to watch my videos on there, but just blow up my platform. I don't care. Have a fantastic day. You guys, I appreciate you guys so much. I seriously do. Be sure to share this with all your friends and family because that's the number one way for podcasts to grow is through your word of mouth and just through putting them on social media platforms because big tech hates it and they can't stop that part. But they can silence you. Have a great day. And as always, thank you for listening to the most dangerous podcast in the world. Just kidding. Oh, these people are nuts. Have a great day. And as always, I'll see you on the next episode of The Derek Coach.